The Cincinnati Bengals weekly show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. As always, the Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net, not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos, so sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, and table games. I am your co-host for the Cincinnati Bengals show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in a Bengals fan who's headed to Tennessee on Saturday with the rest of Cincinnati, it seems. Ty Robbins, how you doing, Ty?
What's up, Bengal Nation? What a great time to be a Bengal fan. You know, I felt like when we did these shows in the past, you get to game 8 and you're still 0-8. It's really a struggle. But this year has been awesome. It's been amazing. It's really been amazing to watch the national media cover this. In the beginning of the season, they weren't giving the Bengals much of a chance of anything. They said you're going to be last in the division. We don't think Joe Burrow's going to be protected. We don't think people are going to come through. And then slowly but surely, every game you're on the edge of your seat. Or at least it seemed like it was going to start out that way with the Minnesota Vikings when they came to town. And your kicker's the one, your fifth round kicker draft choice is the one, bringing it home. So this year's been, very exciting, especially with the extra game, at Paul Brown Stadium and being able to go and watch and watch these Bengals really develop, offense and defense with Burrow leading them. It's been an exciting season so far.
Yeah, and I think normally Joe Kelly's with us, former Bengal. Hopefully he'll be on. He's running a little bit late. But the one thing that strikes me about this is Bengal Jim. Aren't you getting tired of seeing Bengal Jim? Now, I'm kidding, because Jim Foster, I'm friends with Jim. He was going to come on the show tonight, but we decided to do it next week to preview the championship game. But, I mean, I don't know if I could see one more story about Bengals fans going to Tennessee. It's a lot nicer to what we usually get this time of year, which is everybody counting down the pitchers and catchers reporting for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, around this time, you're trying to see, what draft choices you're going to have or what the options are. So this year, it's been awesome, to be able to get into the playoffs and really make a run for it. So I'm excited about that.
We got Joe here. Joe, where the hell you at?
Hey, Mike, man, I'm actually had to, short staff, so I had to do a couple things. Had to run a kid to a doctor's appointment, so I'm actually here, man, in the car, man. So we'll just, we rock and roll, man, from the truck.
All right, Joe. So how about this? I always look back to 1988, 1981, when I had season tickets, went all the time, and the city always went crazy. You were there,
Yes.
the other night. Was the crowd noise comparable to the old jungle back at Riverfront Stadium?
Oh, Mike, man, absolutely. It was electric. It literally had the hair on my arm standing up. That's how electric it was. Through all the years now, going to Paul Brown Stadium, I never had that feeling. Even back in '05, going when Carson got hurt, it wasn't. You didn't have that. Last week, that feeling, that electricity, that vibe, that jungle vibe back from the riverfront. That's what I felt, and it was electric from hours before the game to obviously hours after the game. Man, it was it was. I wish every Bengal fan could have. Every Bengal fan actually deserved to have that feeling, man. That we had on Saturday night.
Yeah. Were you smoking a cigar in the stadium, Joe?
Well, they wouldn't let me smoke it inside the stadium, so I had one outside, and I had one all the way up to the, walking to the stadium. So yeah, man, I was confident, with our team. You got a young team, a little brass. They got a little swag to them, man, and they're not afraid. And at the end of the day, they believe that they can play with anybody. And if you look at um, the schedule, honestly, what happened, how everything fell into to place, us going to Tennessee. Honestly, I personally feel better about us going to Tennessee than I would have felt if we had to go to Buffalo and play in that, below zero snow, or going to Kansas City. So, I think this is a good matchup for us. I think Tennessee is as solid as a team as you can get, but at the end of the day, they got Tannehill, and you can beat Tannehill.
Yeah, but the problem with Tannehill is he's either great or he's horrible. So maybe we'll get the horrible in this week. And I know both of you guys are going down to the game. And we just had a comment from Joseph Michael. You know Joseph Ty. We coached him a long time ago back in prehistoric ages, back in the 90s. He's heading down. And I think you're going to have a lot of Bengal fans there. And when we look at this, Bengals have never won a road playoff game. And when you look at this Bengals-Titans game, the thing that stands out to me is, Ty Hendrickson's going to play now. And that is huge. And I think Josh Tupou, or whatever the hell his name is, I'm not good with names, he's going to be playing. So I think this is a game where the first 15 minutes really settles a lot, because if the Bengals were to get up a couple touchdowns and force Ryan Tannehill to beat them through the air normally, I don't think Tannehill can do that.
I feel confident just based on what we did this year in the season with road games, right? We took care of business on the road. We won really tough games in different ways. We were either
this team was better on the road than they were at home this year.
Exactly. And so you're headed to the Titans. I agree with Joe. This is the best scenario that you can get. Now, in the beginning of the week, people were, really uptight about, Larry Ogunjobi. He's a big loss, but still, he's one person. Going into this game is probably the best that you can be, or the healthiest you can be, And so the Bengals, they knew that, Derrick Henry, there's probably a great chance that he's going to play. How much after 8 weeks, we don't know. But they made some changes on the roster. They went out and they picked up Zach Kern as a backup. He played 4 games with the 49ers this year and 3 games with the Cardinals. Those are 2 teams that were playoffs teams that he's played on, to come in and do some backup work. B.J. Hill's going to come in and take over Larry Ogunjobi's spot. And then you have Henderson, who you need to have in the game. He needs to put that pass rush on to Tannehill and keep him off balance, right? I agree. That's the quarterback you want to go with versus a Josh Allen.
Yeah, and Joe, when we look at the defense for the Titans, they're very good run blocking defense, but they actually rank lower than the Bengals as a pass blocking defense. So if you can, you don't have to you're not going to stop Derrick Henry and Dante Foreman. But if this is a game where you can hold this team to under 120 yards rushing, I think the Bengals have a huge advantage then.
Yeah, I say that here, they're going to get their yards. They're a power team. That's the base of their offense. That's the strength of their team. I'm more worried if Henry doesn't play, because that other guy back there has been playing his ass off.
Yeah, Foreman.
I think here, at the end of the day, Derrick Henry hasn't played in 8 weeks. It's a broken foot, and you're going to be playing in freezing temperature. So here, all of our body parts are made the same. So here, that's a lot of pressure he's going to have on his foot. So, and then, I don't think that he would be capable of playing full 4 quarters after being out 8 weeks. That's a lot to be in football game shape. But I was saying my number was 140. Here, I think we can give up 140 and stay in the game. We just can't give up the 70 yard run, the 60-yard run.
Yeah, you can't give up the explosive plays. Yeah,
they're going to have some 8-yard runs. They'll have some 9-yard runs. Okay, we'll live with that. Let's keep them from getting that, that explosive 60, 70-yard run. Let's keep Tannehill at, short completions, 10 yards and under, 4 yards here, 5 yards. And they have, physical receiver, so here he can pose a problem as well. But hopefully, I think our defensive line can get. I think we can get to Tannehill. Matter of fact, I know we have to get to Tannehill if we're going to come out there with a victory.
But,
go ahead, Ty.
Here's the other thing you got to consider. When we were putting this defense together, we were taking into account the tough AFC North run, all the great runners. And I think starting with the first game with Dalvin Cook all the way through, we've faced some really good running backs this year that prepared us. If anything, we've done a good job to holding these top-notch running backs to short yardage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
but Ty, hold on a second. I mean, let's call it. I mean, Nick Chubb and the Browns ran all over the Bengals. The first game. The second game I don't count because it was backups. That does worry me a little bit, but I also think that Cleveland Browns offensive line in that game was one of the few games they were healthy. But when you look at Pittsburgh, I mean, the key is this. If you jump up big like you did on Pittsburgh and you force Tannehill to run the ball or pass the ball, I think this game's over. I think they have A.J. Brown, who's a stud. Julio Jones will be back, but he's been back. He's been gone a long time like Henry also. So I still think the key's that first 10 minutes. If the Bengals get up on them, I think the Bengals can actually win this game by a couple touchdowns.
You know,
yeah,
I think it's possible. Tennessee is a team. They're going to try and control the clock. They'll have to control the clock to keep Joe Burrows off the field. I think with that, knowing that our D line, we have to get to the quarterback if we're going to be successful. We can't turn around and do well against the run and turn around and start giving Tannehill 25-yard completions, 18-yard completions, because they're a balanced team, and here they can't control the clock. With that being said, it's a game that I believe we can win. I'm not if we win, I'm not coming out of there saying, God, we beat the mighty Goliath. I think we can beat them. Period. I think we can beat them. We're just as good as them. Solid in a lot of areas where that's not their strengths. And I think going in, we play well. We play mistake-free ball. I think this city will be on fire next week.
Yeah, and we have Mr. Andy Steve, whose comment he likes a woozy against A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a stud, but a woozy's Ty. That's one of the moves that were made in the offseason, and at the time just seemed like, you got an extra DB. But he came from Dallas, and he's turned out to be one of the 10 best corners in the NFL if you go through Pro Football Focus.
well, next to Trey Henderson, DJ, I think Woozier has been great for what you got, the price you got him for, and what he's done this year. We all thought he was going to be, not Trey Waynes was going to be our number one, but Awuzie has shut some people down. He had some big plays last week. And so what I like about this game is our secondary, not only are they healthy, but their experience from Bates to Bell to, even Eli Apple's been playing well, except for, he's had his time. But, you still have Trey Waynes, Trey Flowers to go after some of the tight ends. You got a really experienced secondary.
Well, Mike
know
Hilton.
how to tackle. Yeah, Hilton.
Mike Hilton.
Mike
Hilton. Can't
I
forget
mean,
Mike.
the two that stand out to me are Hilton and Bell because they've played in a fair amount of playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Not always successfully, but they've been there a fair amount. So when people say this team is really young, I think it means a lot that a safety and a corner are two of your more experienced guys. And when we talk about Joe Burrow, I mean, Ty is a fan. Did you hear anything better over the weekend when Joe Burrow said this is going to be the bare minimum from now on?
Yeah. This is the standard. He goes, I got excited for the divisional title game, but this is just the cake. It's not the icing on the cake. They have a bigger picture, and I like what they've done in that locker room. I like that, there's no egos. I like that last week when, we had this home game that the defense came to Coach Taylor and said, hey, I think it would be best for Joe Burrow to come out of that tunnel. That shows that, they don't have egos. They just want to win.
Yeah, and Joe, we heard it when they talked about Mike Hilton during the game. The main reason he wanted to come here was Joe Burrow. So when you look at that, I think that that's probably why Hendrickson was here. That's why Awuzie came here. So as far as they are under the salary cap, with all of our players on their first contracts, I mean, this team is one free agency away from being dominant, I think.
Well, I mean, you look at it. I'm saying here now, you have this young stud. You have, this kid. You have, it's the new Broadway Joe. And the city is fell head over heels in love with this kid. But at the end of the day, the kid brings his lunchbox. He goes to work. He comes out. You see what he does. It's not about just flash. He comes out. He's playing mistake-free football. But I think what would, even as good as this kid is, and I think what is not being said enough is that this dude is the most sacked quarterback in the league.
51
Wait until
times.
we're able to take some of that money. I would assume that we're going to take some money from Trey Waynes. Obviously, I don't think that worked. That's a lot of money on the table. You can go get, a veteran stud offensive lineman. Just go get one. I think what hopefully Mike and Katie are on the same page, and we need to go get a veteran offensive lineman now, because if you're talking about trying to get it, but that's something so here we go draft some kid. It's take 3-4 years for them to come. Look at Jonah Williams. This is his third season, and he's gotten a lot better, but he still needs a lot of work. So now we don't want to wait 3 more years. Now Joey B is 28, 29. Joe Mixon is 28, 29. These guys are, now. So if we can get some help with that now, you can see some of the top free agents that say, well, hey, I think they got something going on in Cincinnati. This is not the regular Cincinnati. This is not the Cincinnati where no free agents want to come. Based on, what they're doing, the strong receiving core, tight end, Hendricks coming in. I think if we're able to lure a top-notch linebacker and a lineman, I think, man, the ceiling.
Oh, we lost Joe. There's Joe. Come on, Joe. Joe's going through a bad sell spot.
Oh,
I want to.
I said a lot. You didn't hear me, man. I was on a roll.
I know it. I could tell it was all good stuff just by the look in your eyes when you were doing it.
Yeah.
But we got a question from Joseph Michael who says, off topic, but do you think they keep C.J. Uzomah around? I think he's a free agent at the end of the year. I think that C.J. Uzomah has, from when he got here and was just a special teams guy, he played a hell of a game against the Raiders. And the great thing about him when you watch him is I think he's one of the leaders of this team, Joe.
Yeah. You have people just have intangibles, and you see what he's doing now. And he's a tremendously better actual tight end now. When the highlights, when you look at the room, when you look at them out of the locker room, when you look at him.
Must be going some rough traffic there.
Uzomah, check, that tells you, man, that dude is the heart. That dude is the pulse of this team. I can tell you here, is he the best tight end? No. Can he be a very good tight end in this league? Absolutely. But more than that, this dude is the pulse. I see him in the locker room leading the Who They chant. They go to him. They call the other players after they're talking, they call him up. I think that's what is one of the things that Mike Brown really didn't see when, after the 88 season, and breaking up the team, losing, trading guys. You take that heart and soul. And if you ask anybody on that defense, 88 defense, who was the heart and soul, the pulse of that defense? Who got that defense going? Me. It was me and Crummy. And you don't just trade me. You just don't trade what I bring to the team. You trade. It's more than just what you bring on the field. It's what you bring in that locker room. It's the connection. It's that. Here we're looking for him. He's going to pull us up when we're down. He's going to keep us on an even keel. Okay, it's him that says, "Hey, man, This is not this. This is the standard, but this is not. We want more than this. Our standard is the Super Bowl. It's not the AFC North Championship. That's coming out of Huzama mouth. So I'm telling you, we need to sign that kid, keep that kid going, because you can't bring that. You can go get a better free agent tight end. Don't mean he's going to fit. Don't mean he's going to be a pulse of that team. And I think coaches and general managers and owners, they need to understand that. When you look at these dominant teams, the teams that win the Super Bowl, there's a heart and soul. You look at the Ravens. The heart and soul was Ray Lewis. It wasn't just his play. It's just what, the intangibles that he brought to that team in the locker room, every day at practice, game day, when you're not looking. So I think they have to, really understand that and definitely bring that kid back.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing this team does have, the same thing your 88 team had. I can give you this, Joe. When a guy like C.J. Uzomah goes on the field, he brings energy onto that field with him that infects everybody else. It's the same thing you did in 1988 with the Bengals, where you go on the field, and I still remember you being introduced to the Super Bowl, waving your towel and screaming obscenities on national TV, Joe. It got me pumped up too.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Joe, when you came and talked to my team 2 years ago, I actually showed everybody the video of you being introduced before I introduced you. And the thing is this: when Joe came to talk to my high school team 2 years ago, he brought that energy still. And I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can. If you look back at the Big Red Machine, 75 and 76, everybody always thinks about Bench, Perez, Morgan. But that team fell apart because at the end of 1976, they let Tony Perez leave. And I've talked to Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan before, and they all say Tony Perez was the guy that made that. Now, a lot of Reds fans will think, well, Charlie hustled. It wasn't. It was Tony Perez. And I remember going to training camp down in, where the hell was it? Plant City in like 1987. And he's like 42 years old at the time, and he'd just become a coach because he retired after 86. But everybody's throwing the ball around, and Tony Perez walks on the field. He's running his mouth, he's pumping everybody up, and he's just a coach now. But he still brought that energy to get that team going.
Yeah, absolutely. You need that. I mean, it's vital. Every Super Bowl champion, every World Series champion, they have. You obviously need good players. We have some talent. What we have what we didn't have years before. That was talent at a lot of positions. But it's something special. And it's one thing. Here Joey. You look at Joey being what he's bringing on the field. But it's something about it's that intangible that everybody is looking at him and what he's doing. Everybody is feeding off of Huzama. So when you have those special intangibles, you got to have those special intangibles. And you look at it, and you don't hear anything. You haven't heard anything arrogant. You haven't heard anything braggadocious. You look at this is a young team that's confident and saying, you know what, hell, why not us? Why not us? So you think about it. Why not us? We fear nobody. We feel that we can play with everybody. We've played with everybody. You look at our losses, Green Bay, all those losses. We don't really only have one bad loss. You look at Chicago. We came back when we played awful first half. Here we look at things that we can do. A mistake here, play there. But at the end of the day, we know that we can play with anybody.
Well, how about this, Joe and Ty? I think the difference in this season was the San Francisco loss, because I think what we've seen after the San Francisco loss is now they're putting the game in Burrow's hands, where they took the ball out of his hands during that point. And I think Zach Taylor realized that. And I know I've been a huge critic of Zach Taylor's, but over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I have no complaints because he's putting the ball in Joe Burrow's hands and letting him win or lose the game. If you do that as a head coach and you've got a guy like a Joe Burrow, you're going to win more often than not.
Well, the stats back that up. You know what I mean? And so if, any coach knows, you put it in your best player's hands, especially in the last, 5 minutes of the game, you want Joe Burrow to have the ball. He's going to make things happen. He showed time and time again that he can march down the field and with the weapons around him, I mean, they're at his. We've already talked about Uzama and what he's doing. When his number is called, he makes it happen. He goes out and blocks. I think early on one of the plays, he was like, I don't know, I want to say like the fourth option, and then he goes to his read and he goes and gets it to him. I think Tyler Boyd's going to have a game, and T. Higgins is going to pick it up because if they start to double team Chase or cover, these other guys are going to pick up. I think it's a defensive nightmare for the Titans to cover all. They just can't cover all these guys. And with Joe Burrow, one of the biggest things that he does is he reads defenses, right? This is his first full year. And
how about this?
How about
this, Ty? Real quick. I don't think it's reading defenses. A lot of quarterbacks can read defense. When I watch Joe Burrow, even in college, he sees things other people don't. I think he feels defense. And the big difference there is Justin Herbert, when he played against New England or he played against Baltimore, they would give him show coverage, which means maybe they're coming out man, but it breaks into cover 3 at the snap of the ball. The thing to me is Joe Burrow feels that, where most guys have to react to that switch in defense, Joe, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's a feeling here. I know, and I have enough trust in my guys that they're going to be where I need them to be. We talked about it. You can go over it. You can game plan. Okay, this is what it is. Like you said, they're going to disguise. I'm coming to look at it. Here, I got one on top, and then we're going to play man free. Or boom, now we're going to go to cover 2. He's from the snap. He's reading it. But like you said, there's a feeling. You have to believe. Okay, here I see this, but I know they're going to go here, and I know when I drop, I know where the ball is going to go. And you can tell, he's hitting guys in stride. He's hitting guys. The ball has left his hand even before these guys have come out of their break. So that is telling you how far this kid has come. But the exciting thing, this is really his first year. First full year, and even with that, man, this dude is. I'm not saying we're the worst line, but we're the most sacked team in the league. And he's doing what he's doing. So imagine this kid with the 1988 offensive line. It would be dangerous.
Real quick, Gunner's boss says, "Good night, Mike and panel." Gunner has something to do with a sports radio show I was on in Jamaica yesterday to talk about the NFL. But then Joseph Michael says Joe Kelly is on here, and the great Ty Robbins, they were just referred to as the panel.
You know what I like
and
about
real quick, Mr. Andy Steve, this is the thing that got me. That seam throw to CJ. You remember it was right over the Raiders' shoulder with his back turned? Yeah. That's what I mean. He sees things. Carson Wentz don't make that throw.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I like about Joe Burrow is this. He has the confidence of his team. Uzama said time again, he is the smartest person on the field. He is the smartest person. When you go back to LSU and the head coach and there, he said when he met with him, he goes, this is the smartest guy in the room, right? So he has this confidence. Even when you watch him, Joe, when you watch him at the games, he's outside the huddle. He's calm. He's collect. He goes in and he makes these plays. And when you have somebody that can read the defense like that, and when they make the changes and make adjustments and the guys are scoring, they're going to believe in him. They believe that they could go down in any situation and score when they need to.
Oh, absolutely. He has that connection, and you can see that special connection that Jamar Chase has brought and that they had at LSU. You can see that. Just when you think about that, you have to, just get excited about how and when that connection is going to happen with T. Higgins and Boyd, because it's coming, but it's not there yet. That there's a special connection between those two. They know each other. They can come out of the huddle, and they can sense something, and he more than likely knows when Joe is going to come to him. But here with our two other guys are they can be just as dangerous, man. So it's just that this kid has the it factor. Is this kid going to play lights out every single week until he retires? Absolutely not. He had a three interception game where, and remember in Chicago he threw two interceptions, three interceptions back to back to back. This
And then
kid
he
will
threw
play.
a touchdown pass, though, Joe,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
don't see
So
many guys do.
no, so like I said, the thing is you see him, and if there's a mistake, you can see him getting rid of the ball quicker. You can see him throwing the ball, down at the runner's feet if they read the screen. So he's making smart passes. He's throwing the ball out of bounds when he has to. My thing is here. Don't run it. I think he learned from Green Bay. Get down. You're a quarterback. You are. If you're hurt. You're hurt. We're a different team. You're hurt. We're a
Yeah.
different team. We're not having this. We're not having this radio show if there's no Joe Burrow. Period. That's how much
We will,
he
Joe,
means.
just nobody'd watch.
Right.
We've done that before. We did it for the last 3 years.
Hey,
Real
man.
quick, I want to bring up, find the best place to bet for you. Betting.net offers expert and user reviews for every online sportsbook and casino in your state. Check out betting.net. All right, guys, let's get to the point where we make some picks here. And you can't just be a homer, Ty. We'll let Ty start.
The Bengals have been very good to me this year when it comes to betting. So, and this was going to be, at the beginning of the week, I wasn't quite sure with Hendrickson out, Obajobi out, and we didn't know, where we were going. But I think with everybody healthy, and I think the Bengals could win this. I do if they get a fast
don't give me
start.
could. We need a prediction here.
You want a prediction?
I want a prediction, Ty.
I think you got to be at least over 30 points. Maybe first one to 30, maybe 40, depending on the defenses play. But I say Bengals 32, Titans 24.
Okay, I'm going to do this. The thing that worries me here is the Titans are going to defend the way the Raiders did, which means they're going to bring 4 guys, drop 7 into coverage. They're not going to blitz. Their interior, actually, they are second in the NFL for getting pressure on the quarterback with just front 4 guys and no blitzing. I think they got 35 sacks this year with just those 4 down linemen and no blitzing. I think the interior line's an issue, especially with Simmons. But their defensive ends are kind of iffy. I think when I look at this game, I think it's possible that this is a 20-17 type of game just because of the way Tennessee's going to want to play. But the thing that strikes me as I make my pick, Joe, is they've got Ryan Tannehill. We've got Joe Burrow. I think Bengals 27, Titans 20. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I'm looking at it this. I think what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to bring the weather in as a factor because that ball becomes heavy. It's supposed to be dry, but it's still going to be at right around the freezing mark. So I think here, we may, both teams might start bringing, a safety down, have 8 in the box. I think. We want to control the clock as well because we want to keep Derrick Henry off the field. I think we have more explosive capability than those guys, but it's going to be tough. It's tough. It's tough. I don't care who you are, man. It is tough to run out there and it's 20, 22 degrees and you got a wind chill of. I don't think the wind chill is going to be as bad there, but you still talk about maybe possibly playing in the 20s, if not feeling like the teens. So here, I think we're looking at something where here it's my opinion 17-14. I'm going to obviously choose the Bengals, but I think this is a game that I with the conditions and them trying to control the ball, they can keep the ball out of Joey B's hands. I think we score. We think we make a couple big plays. But it's going to be a long game, and I'm saying 17-14 Cincinnati.
All right, Mr. Andy Steve says Bengals 41, Titans 24. Joseph Michael says It sounds like a Mixon and CJ have a big receiving day. Gunner Boss says Bengals over the Titans for me, 24-17. All right, guys, we're gonna do this again next week. You know Bengal Jim, right, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody knows Bengal Jim, so we're gonna try to
Yeah.
work out a time where he could come on with us tomorrow. We talked last night. I know that I don't think he'd ever smoked cigars until this weekend. He said that taste lasted in his mouth. I got a text from him Sunday morning, said that still tasted like crap. So there you
He has
go.
he has to brush his teeth.
Well, I didn't want to tell him that. I thought maybe he was originally from Kentucky. Mr. Andy Steve says, thanks for the show, fella. Oh, hell, I forgot. Ty moved to Kentucky. I said from Kentucky, Ty, not lives in Kentucky. There's a difference. If you're born there, it's different than just moving. I don't know why anybody would move there, but that's neither here nor there. Joseph Michael moved to VV, which I've never heard of anybody moving to VV, Indiana, because that place ain't that great sometimes. But we will be back next week to recap and preview the AFC Championship game between the Bengals and who, Joe?
Bengals in Kansas City.
What do you think, Joe? Ty?
Bengals and Buffalo.
Yeah. I'm going Bengals Buffalo, but I'm hoping it's Kansas City because Buffalo's defense to me matches up better than Kansas City does with us, I think, Joe.
Yeah, they're in Kansas City. They're in Kansas City, right?
Yeah, where Buffalo did blow them out this year already.
Yeah. I don't know. I just big plays. I think Kelsey, number 10. With Mahomes, I just think they're gonna pull it out. They have that stadium. I think they're gonna put it out, and I think we'll be visiting Kansas City, man. So it might be a trip to go eat some good Kansas City barbecue next week, brother.
All right, Bill Hudson says, great show, guys. Thanks for listening. Gunner's Boss says, another great show on The Grueling Truth presented by betting.net. And also, guys, if you're watching here, in a little less than 2 hours at 9:30, we'll have the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show with former Indiana basketball legend Steve Risley. He teamed up with Isaiah Thomas to win a national championship in 1981. And Dan Kornhauser, who was one of our NFL beat writers, will be here to pick the games against the spread. If either one of you guys want to come on, you're more than welcome. But I know you guys are both older, so 9:30 is probably a late start time. I know it is for Ty, because his wife makes him go to bed by 9 every night.
Yeah, I get up early. I gotta finish up, and you'll post Ty's take this week, so it'll be posted on Friday.
Yeah, make sure you check out Ty's Take on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Make sure you go to the Grueling Truth. Follow us on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter at Grueling Truth. So make sure you check out Ty's Take. We will be back next week. Hopefully, one win from a Super Bowl. Here we go, Joe. We need to go here, Joe. Gunner says Jamaica have the best jerk barbecue. Y'all need to come visit for a visit someday. Gunners.
Oh, yeah.
If you want, if you'll send us airline tickets, we'll be there tomorrow. Instead of going to Tennessee for the game, I think, Joe, we could watch it on a beach on a big screen TV in Jamaica.
Hey, send the first class ticket, baby. We're
The
there.
Jamaica is my favorite place. I've been there twice. I
Oh,
love
hell,
it.
Joe, to go to Jamaica for free. You'll fly, coach. You know you will.
Oh, yeah. Going to Jamaica. Yeah, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we're all ready to go, but make sure you check us out at 9:30 tonight on the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show. And tomorrow we'll have the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show with myself and Steve Risley to wrap up tonight's Indiana-Purdue game, which I'm going to get off here and go watch now. But for Joe Kelly, Ty Robbins, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.